Christmas to all of the nation and to you, my lovely
Merry
wife,
Christmas
Pamela.
to you and everybody out there. Hope it's a blessed holiday for you
And
guys.
since this is dropping on Christmas Day, we're hoping that if it's Christmas morning and you're celebrating with us by listening to today's episode, thank you for inviting us into your Christmas festivities.
Yeah, later in the week, you know what? We're just adding some Christmas cheer.
Enjoy the holiday, and this one will be a little fun, a little different than we've ever done before with the episode today. But there are a couple thoughts that I wanted to at least share as we jump into today, because this is Sexy Marriage Radio, where we're trying to frame the conversations to help talk about the nuances of what happens in marriage and sex, because it's not always black and white. It's not always cut and dry. There's a lot of different meanings involved in everything, which is going to be particularly fun today because we're asking the nation to be a part of this episode. I mean, just flat out. We want your feedback and your thoughts after we unpack ours briefly. But here's a couple of thoughts that come to mind. I'm a fan of Mark Manson, and he sends out a newsletter on every Monday. And this is one that says, if you're afraid to establish a boundary with someone because it may upset them, then that's the signal that you need to have a boundary in place.
Fair. Because you're probably getting upset in the meantime anyway.
Right. It's a question
either
of
you or them.
Who's it impact the most? And sometimes we have to look out for ourselves and realize, wait, I've got to teach differently because I'm absorbing more than I need to here.
Okay. That one could be so hard because you know the wrath that some people can lay down. And sometimes it's easier to just deal with your own frustration than the wrath that they lay down.
We need to keep talking then about this one at some other point.
I got this going on right now, baby.
And then the other one that's just an uncomfortable truth, and this was one of my favorites, is family teaches us how to love people we don't necessarily like. I'm going to let that one just rest for a bit.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go farther with that one right now.
Well, this is what strikes me is on the extended content from a couple of weeks ago, we talked about some of this aspect of how do we deal with family in the holidays and the difference between walking away and cutting off, right? And so this kind of fits in the same vein and spirit, that there's a lot of complexities that come with relationships. Marriage is no different. And so I'm going to segue in because this is going to be a short episode because it's Christmas Day and Christmas week, and we want to let people enjoy the time with the family, but we want to have some food for thought that maybe this rattles around and maybe look at some things a little differently. And so here's the question, Pam.
Okay.
Is sex an acceptable gift to give for Christmas?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes and no, I guess. Why wouldn't it be? I guess fill me in on why it wouldn't be.
Well, let's talk about both because I think there's probably, again, context matters.
Agreed.
And the dynamic and the meanings therein within the relationship matter. Because the pro of this gift is a Christmas present.
Because we're going to have pros and cons, I'm guessing. Yes.
Would be and this is really the only pro I can think of.
Only one pro.
Is when both parties, it's a free-flowing, vibrant part of life and relationship already. And the gift is, hey, I'm going to take tonight and I'm the one in charge, or I'm setting it all up, or I'm making it all about you, and there's this dynamic where it truly is more of the spontaneous aspect of the dynamic in your marriage. Not that it just happens all spontaneously. I'm not saying that. But there's an element of, because this is what jumps to my mind immediately that then leans itself towards the con, is I hear this from a lot of different clients at times, but more acquaintances. Like when we'd be at kids' events and different things, and these are guys, husbands I know, or couples I know that we don't do a lot of life with, but we do life alongside at times. And there's this societally laughed about or thought about aspect of, well, it's my birthday, so I know I'll get X when it comes to our sex lives. And that's the only time I'll ever get it. Or Christmas, and that's the only time I ever get oral sex or something like this. And it's like, there's the problem with that underneath it all, which is the con, is it creates a power dynamic. It creates a aspect of, is that really freely given, or is it an obligation aspect to it? And this is where the meanings matter because it's nuanced, completely nuanced.
Okay. So just because or I'm going to act like I'm one of these acquaintances you talked about, just because that's what I choose to give for a birthday or Christmas or whatever, Does that mean I'm not freely giving it?
It's all in the motivations, because there is an element of, if there are more one-offs in this aspect of your relationship like that, where is the vibrancy from both of you in the entirety of that aspect of your relationship?
Well, and you're presupposing that some of them even care about vibrancy. Some of them just want to have the act and have it done. And to you and I, that would not be optimum. That would not be what we would be searching for.
Right. Early in our marriage, I would have said, hands down, yes,
Bring
it's an
it.
acceptable gift. I'll take whatever you got. If it's, let's go.
And we can't kid ourselves to think that everyone listening
right
is in that same boat. Some are still just reeling. They're in the spot that we were 5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you have to look at where people are. Now, to me, when sex is being had, I want the good stuff. I don't want it to come from emptiness.
And that's where the dynamic can become so troublesome at times, because it does become this, I'll give this to you, is more of the spirit, rather than I want to celebrate this with you.
Yeah.
Right. There's a power discrepancy here. And this is, again, nuance. You have the power of, I'll make myself available to you, is one aspect of it, which that can be really have negative undertones.
Yeah.
And destructive undertones in the long run.
Yes.
And then there's this other side of power of, oh yeah, I'm available for you, and I'm available for us, and it's kind of like I've had this conversation in sessions at times where it's like, just get it done already versus I'm going to get you done already. Right? There's two different aspects to that phraseology. And so if you're using this as a gift, the aspect of your phraseology and your presence is what makes the difference completely. Because I think there's just this aspect of, in the long run, it's like you're alluding to, in the long run of married sex, the one-offs, those little power discrepancies that we're not aware of and how we are culpable in them, is what causes the problems, because it has an undertone to it that I just need to be more aware of.
Well, certainly we got to be aware of it. If we're doing that and we don't know it, then that's
right. And that's why this
trouble
is one of
in
those,
River City.
Maybe we're ruining Christmas for people.
Oh, I hope
a little
not.
bit.
I hope not.
Because this is a conversation that I think internally we need to have, to realize, okay, what am I bringing to my life in this aspect of my life and my marriage? Because what's my relationship with my sex life? That's a good question. And how do I look at power? How do I look at the dynamic? How do I look at the shortcuts I take, or the ways I try to enhance, or how I carry myself? Because all of that plays out.
Asking yourself that is your Christmas present to yourself, right?
Perfect.
To start thinking through this stuff, and am I bringing something good, and am I bringing something pure to this relationship of how I'm really addressing it. I love it. So we had our academy call a couple week and a half ago, and we didn't cover this topic specifically, but some of them were talking about what was it? One couple has a stocking.
Sexy stockings that they celebrate with each other.
And how much fun is that, right? That's coming from that aspect of, this is goodness. This is, we celebrate each other. And it's a way to introduce something new, something fun, something novel.
That's more on the positive side for sure, because it's a agreed upon collaborative thing.
And I love the idea.
I'm wanting to really just have people with this episode really start to be objective and look at yourself and your relationship, and what spirit are you bringing when it comes to this aspect of your relationship. Is it a gift or is it an obligation?
Yeah. Is it me checking off a box and saying, look what I've done for you?
Or is it me checking off a box saying, look what I can do with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
how fun is that?
There's a whole different aspect of what's being exposed in us in this, and what's my relationship within it. And so this is where we're just wanting to hear from you. 214-702-9565 is our voicemail line. feedback@sexymarriageradio.com or my.smr.fm. We'll have a conversation going on there with the platform. And we want your thoughts. Where does this play out with you? What's the aspect that you see in your relationship? And again, we're going to ask is only deal with you. Don't call out your spouse. Deal with you, because that's the best gift you can give your marriage, is to create a better you.
And yourself, marriage and yourself. I mean, I think we got to start with, am I giving myself a gift of really looking at who I am? I can't do anything about the marriage if I'm not looking at me.
And then celebrate that. So this has been Sexy Marriage Radio. We want some of your words and your thoughts. So please join us in this conversation. And once again, Merry Christmas to you and your family. And we pray for blessings over the holiday season. And we'll see you again on New Year's.